as said, how AI will impact compensation and performance. Elena was my name, Siili Solutions, IT consultancy company. So our context of our employees are that they are consultants who work usually with our customers. So that's maybe what you need to know before I go to the topic. Yeah, the working memory of humans is 47 things. So basically we can keep in our mind 47 things at the same time. If we transfer that into tokens is the unit of measure when we talk about large language models and AI. It's 15 to 30. That's how much information we can keep in our minds at the same time. Large language models have a context window. It's basically their working memory. And for that, it's 1 million tokens. See what I'm getting here? It's quite much bigger. In my perspective, the current compensation models are outdated. They focus on numeric data and biased interpretation. We all have some KPIs, maybe OKRs, some numeric goals that we are trying to reach. Then in addition to that, usually we evaluate people's performance, how they have performed besides those numeric goals. But that also always has some emotion, something related to the person themselves. It's never unbiased. We all agree that performance measures should be data-driven, but they should, in my perspective, they should acknowledge the larger impact of the employee. How do they work with customers? How do they work with their teammates? That might be a thing that you cannot see in the KPIs. However, there is the qualitative data. It exists in the organization. We just don't use it. 90% of the enterprise data that companies have is unstructured. This means the qualitative data. PowerPoints, notes, some random letters from customers, maybe some feedbacks from your colleagues. All those exist in the organization. We just don't use them to anything. In the case of performance, those could be, as said, quotes from customers, written feedback from colleagues, maybe even description of responsibilities, and growth discussion descriptions. I think all of those probably you have in your organization. We just don't use them. However, large language models can create insights from that qualitative data. As said, we cannot do that because our working memory is so limited. But the large language models have a huge context window. They can get insights from that data. No matter how large the data set is, it can evaluate it. And it doesn't have bias, or at least some, not so much as humans, because it doesn't have emotions. It only uses the data and the context that it's given to them, not emotions, what we have always towards individuals. So basically, AI creates insights of this qualitative data. It can summarize the most crucial parts of it. For example, when we talk about our consultants who have focus in sales, we could take all the customer meeting notes and then figure out, or the large language model can figure out if the consultant actually found the key pain points of the customer. And with that data, we can also combine that with, for example, meeting retention rates. That's quantitative data. AI also has the same basis for everyone. As I previously mentioned, it doesn't have emotions. It only evaluates data that is given to them, which limits their bias. It analyzes all the data. And as said, their context window is big, so more data can be used in decision making, which in my perspective makes it more powerful. In the morning session, they talked quite a bit about data, and I will kind of talk about it too. When we talk about AI and large language model, the data is the most important thing we have. it will not work without it. And AI needs it for it to work. Basically, when we are talking about performance metrics, usually those are the targets and goals and KPIs. Those are the things that we measure currently. But then there is also the other things, the soft skills, the qualitative things, obtain new skills, ways of working, communication, impact on clients, impact on the team. We can write that like qualitatively. We are able to do that. Most likely you even have that. And with model, we can compare that to performance results. So basically those KPIs, but also the feedback from customers, the customer quotes, in our case, internal CVs. We use them, of course, as we sell. We want to introduce our consultants to our customers, so we have them already available. Basically, the performance results are the qualitative data, so all those random pieces around the organization and the KPIs. Then we give them to the large language model, which then evaluates them against the performance metrics that we have defined. And then the system creates insights for us humans for the decision making. We can then make better decisions as we have the KPIs and the insights in our use. We already put this in practice in Siili, not maybe like regarding our like short-term incentive model, but for our seniority reviews. We basically have a seniority model for our consultants. When they have a specific skill set, for example, they might be a full stack developer or a service designer, we have defined what kind of skills they should have in each seniority level. So basically what the KPIs in our setting, that would be utilization, what certifications they should have, do they have some leadership skills are we expecting from them, specific tools or technical skills, so technologies, usually, for example, cloud or some others, what kind of impact they should have in the customer projects. So basically, should they do sales or what is expected from them, and then communication skills. And then we have the key data available, KPIs. We also collect feedback from our customers. We collect feedback from team members. We have the project responsibility description and the internal CVs. These have all been available for us, but we have not been able to use them. But now with large language models, we have been able to utilize them. In practice, we have an AI-powered decision-making process for consultant seniority levels. Humans is always in the loop, but the AI helps us in the decision-making because it creates those important insights. So basically, employees submit their internal CVs and feedback into the system. The system has already our seniority model, so it can then evaluate their skills, responsibilities, and experiences against the structured seniority levels. Then the employees and managers receive AI-generated insights as backup for decision-making. This means that the seniority and salary decisions are more consistent, transparent, and less biased, because all the individuals in the process have the same data. They start with the same basis. It's not only about the managers who interpreted the feelings that they have for the consultants. Rather, they have some real like AI-created insights about the data that they have already received. In practice, AI doesn't replace human judgment. It gives managers evidence to reduce human bias and support fair decision-making. Okay, that was kind of our proof of concept that we have alive, that we use, but what would be the next step in this process? What are we expecting AI to transform? Of course, you probably all heard about the agentic AI, and I do believe that it will have a big impact also in this case. AI will be integrated to all systems and make suggestions on the go. In our model, that requires the model requires that the consultant gives the data to the AI. But in the agentic model, that doesn't need to happen. Rather, it takes the data automatically. It can combine data from different sources and then create insights. Then automation, that means that automation while making sure humans are decision making. So humans are in control. That's kind of my assumption of how agentic AI will work in our setting. Of course, it can be also the case that it makes the decisions, but I feel like we still always need humans in control, even though the AI could maybe do the decisions. How does it look like? I put here what in the Siili context, what the case would be. So basically, we would have the performance results would be kind of all the systems where the data is now placed. So large learning management system, project management tools, customer feedback, growth discussion tools, internal CV management system, and analytics tools. Those are the places where all that qualitative and also quantitative data is now where it is now placed. And then it would have an automatic constant flow of data to the large language model. The large language model knows the performance metrics, and then the system will give timely insights and suggestions to humans, which will then make the decisions. Whether that would be a salary raise, salary model change, maybe total change in the compensation for an individual, or then maybe not do anything. But the decisions are always made by humans. Sounds amazing. However, there is still a lot we need to kind of figure out, questions to be answered. Basically, especially in the Nordics, trust is a huge part of our culture. And we need to be careful when we talk about AI, which is kind of has its hands all over our systems. So how can we use AI to provide meaningful insights without crossing into employee monitoring? We don't want to micromanage or at least make employees feel like we are. It's really important to communicate clearly why we are doing certain things and why AI is suggesting certain decisions. One option for this would be to change the focus from individual to team. Should performance measurement lean more on team outcomes or individual contributions? Because if we are looking for a team, then we can look all the data. There isn't the feeling of monitoring is so much smaller in that case. Then I think the most important part, which we need to figure out, which I have been trying to figure out with our IT team, is how can we use AI on people data without risking employee privacy and trust. Of course, there is many different options. We can buy systems from the success factors, or try to figure out to get an old machine which would then run our old LLMs in our premises. But I don't think that's the case which will happen. But that's something that we need to figure out, and it will at some point will be solved. I see that the similarities are that there are similarities then when we move to cloud. When the cloud was introduced, everybody was scared of it, and now it's the same thing with AI. But yeah, your journey. All of us are really hyped about AI, but I don't know how many of you actually know where you should begin and what you should actually do. As said, AI only works if it has the context and the data. And the data is the most important thing you need to now make sure that you have in place. And the context is then the kind of model you are comparing the data to. In practice, you need to now create structured model, if you don't have those, with descriptions of all aspects of the roles. Make sure that you know what those qualitative things might be that you can look for in the data. And then evaluate your data capabilities. do you have a good quality data that was talked in the first one of the first sessions during the morning, and can you access it? And then if you may need to update some tools, maybe even get a new system. But the AI is coming, so make sure you are ready for that. And then you need to contact your internal, external partner to make AI real. That can be the IT department, or then if you need further help, then you can always contact an external partner for that. We in Siili, our goal is to become the best AI-driven community for humans by understanding both AI and human. And that is a really important thing. AI will transform basically all of our work. And that means that we need to define what as humans, what is the value that we can then bring as AI has automated all the manual tasks. What can we individuals produce? What is our value? That is something at least I'm thinking about quite often. And I actually want to invite all of you to talk about these topics later on. This was like a really small, like practical change what I think will happen, but there will be a lot of ripple effects to the system that AI will bring. And I'm really hoping many of you join our Challenge Your Peers session at 16:45, so in a few hours. Thank you.